Welcome to a special Sunday edition of the Better Canes podcast. This is Better Duck. I just got done listening to the Emergency Damage Control podcast put out by 24/7 Canes titled Addressing an Unacceptable Data something or other. Recruiting thing is an arbitrary system. They make it up as they go along. You guys can go and listen to the explanation yourself. The explanation is pointless to me. What I'm angry about is the mechanics of how it went down. They took nerds, I'm talking about, spreadsheet weirdos. If you hear a bunch of noise, it's because I'm walking in the park. The nerds took the happiest day of a kid's life and shat on it. They humiliated him. For what? For ad clicks? I listened to the explanation that it was a data entry error, and how the kid switching schools his junior year or sophomore year or whatever wasn't factored into this and that nonsense. It's an arbitrary rating system. They can do whatever they want. It has as much validity as UCF's national championship. It's based on an arbitrary system. It's not a scientific formula. And here's the crux of why I'm doing this podcast. First, those guys apologized multiple times, and they were sincere about it. And I accept it. As a gentleman, I accept their apology. I don't think there was any malice. I think they're as mad as everybody else. Their whole credibility is now taken into consideration. Everything they've worked for got flushed down the toilet, along with that kid's 5th star. There are no winners here, but there are some losers. How do I say this? Okay, the title of the podcast was Addressing an Unacceptable Data Entry Error. The word unacceptable doesn't mean that something sucks, or you disagree with it, or that it's you have a problem with it. It means unacceptable. It means you don't accept the results. Unacceptable means unacceptable. It means you reject. If you have a steak and it's unacceptable, then you don't eat it. You don't eat an unacceptable steak. You reject it. Now, if you do eat it, it was acceptable. You accepted it. So, last night, I believe that I don't know how many people are in this 24/7 Canes business or whatever it is, branch. They should have immediately resigned. Soon as everything went down, like it went down, they should have taken off their buttons or their hats or whatever and told the bosses at 247 National, which is a Paramount company, like Paramount Films, like Forrest Gump, that this is unacceptable. You don't fire off an email and say, you threw us under the bus, man. Fans are pissed. The people are unsubscribing, and then not get an answer. The only thing you can do is resign. If you've been paying attention to what happened with the last White House administration, there was a lot of chaos at the end of the term, and pretty much most people that knew what the hell was going on immediately offered their resignation. They were like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't stand by and allow such and such to happen. That's how I feel. Maybe these guys aren't in a position to do that. We're in perilous times right now. A lot of people are struggling. What they did to that kid, that 247 company, should go down a drain. It's an arbitrary ranking system. If they had the ranking system and the algorithm set up before On3, then they can factor the value of it without On3. They kept alluding to the person that didn't properly migrate the kid's high school records to his new school in Bradenton from, where's the kid from, Washington or something, and moved to Bradenton, Florida to go to IMG Academy. And his transcripts didn't make it, or weren't entered into the algorithm properly, or this and that. That's not the point. The point is the mechanics of how it was handled. The kid's either a 5-star or he's a 4-star. That's to be determined. What's not to be determined is the course that you take to ruin the happiest day of a high school kid's life for nothing. For nothing. You could fix it a multitude of ways. You could leave it. You could address it beforehand. The kids, go listen to the podcast. They addressed all this. And I believe they're on the right side of the thing. This is not personal. Nothing with me is ever personal. I just think that it should have been handled differently at the local end here. I don't subscribe to recruiting services or talent evaluators or any of that stuff. That's fine. I'm not into high school football, so they're not losing a customer with me. I was never, a paying customer to begin with. But it just seems to me like you got to pick sides. Are you with the University of Miami, or are you with Paramount Global? Because right now, as it is right now, you can't be both. And that's a hard thing for, like I said, I'm sure those kids love that job. Everybody wants to work in sports media. There aren't many jobs. They've got two good ones. I don't read their work often. I don't really engage with them. I wish them the best of luck, but they've lost all credibility with me. Not because the kid dropped the ranking, because they accepted it. They accepted something that, by their own words, was unacceptable. You throw your pen down, and you walk out. All right, so I don't have any sponsors, ads, anything else. I'm doing this podcast at a park, trying to get some exercise in on a little small Zoom H1 recorder with a fuzzy on it. I hope it sounds all right. But let me plug something here. You guys know we have the big sewage issue going on in Fort Lauderdale. The national media has given up on it. It's no longer interesting to them. And for the most part, the local media has also given up on it. Because, like half of local news is showing YouTube videos. Unicycles and pogo sticks and stuff like that. So the politicians probably got in there into the news stations and made some deals, so they're not covering the sewage breaks anymore in Fort Lauderdale, which are still ongoing and still terrible. So what I did was I made a video. You can see it. It is pinned at the top of the Better Duck Twitter page. So instead of me asking you to go buy smoothies or whatever ads the other podcasts have on their stuff, just do me a favor and go and share my little sewage video about the city forcing the old-time charter captains off of Fort Lauderdale Beach. They've been there since 1939. And the city commission and, the powers that be voted them out so they can put up an 1,100-unit condominium right on those grounds, right across from the municipal basketball courts on Fort Lauderdale Beach. If you know where that is, you ever played hoops there? Pretty much right across the street from there was the old charter docks in Fort Lauderdale. Well, they're gone. Those guys are now, they have nowhere to operate their business. To bring in 1,100 condo units, which at a bare minimum is 2,200 more toilets. The city already can't handle the amount of sewage going through the pipes. And without, improving any infrastructure, they're going to add 2,200 more toilets. People are getting fatter. People are eating worse foods. Their bowel movements are twice the size. I don't know. But do me a favor. Go to go to my Twitter page. It's pinned at the top. Just give it a quick share. And we'll get through this. Lastly, I'm going to repeat it again. The guys were sincere with their apology. And as a gentleman, I accept apologies. I don't question them. I just question the mechanics of how those guys handled it. I'm sure we'll get through it. We need better recruits. This was a little ding to Mario. He was cruising along there pretty good. So, refocus, and thanks for listening. Give me a tweet, @BetterDuck. Go Canes.